What if some of the biggest changes in modern society aren't happening through elections or laws, but through culture, institutions, and everyday language? Over the past decade, the word woke has gone from a niche internet term to one of the most debated ideas in politics. For some, it represents progress, a long overdue push for equality and inclusion. For others, it signals something more complicated, a shift in how institutions think, speak, and even define reality. So what's actually going on? In this video, we're breaking down one of the most controversial cultural debates of our time, calmly, clearly, and from multiple angles. Originally, woke simply meant being alert to social injustice, especially racism and inequality. Over time, though, it's become an umbrella term covering a wide range of movements and ideas around identity, language, gender, and social justice. And depending on who you ask, that evolution is either a necessary expansion of human rights awareness or an ideological shift that goes beyond equality into cultural transformation. This disagreement sits at the heart of today's debate. One major criticism from skeptics is that some modern activist frameworks don't just aim for equal rights, they also aim to reshape cultural norms. For example, debates around gender, identity, and family structures often challenge traditional categories that have existed for a long time in law and culture. Supporters see this as progress, an expansion of personal freedom and recognition of lived experience. Critics, however, argue that redefining foundational social concepts can create tension in shared public understanding, especially when institutions begin to adopt these frameworks at scale. In a democratic system, change is ideally shaped through public debate, elections, and compromise between different viewpoints. Some critics argue that modern activism sometimes influences change through cultural and institutional pressure rather than traditional democratic pathways. Supporters of these movements would respond differently. They often argue that cultural change has always been part of democracy, and that institutions must evolve when society's understanding evolves. So the real question becomes, is this democratic evolution or democratic imbalance? Another key debate focuses on institutions like universities, media organizations, and public agencies. Many of these institutions have adopted frameworks around diversity, equity, and inclusion. Supporters argue this is necessary to correct historical inequalities and ensure fairness. Critics worry that when institutions adopt a specific worldview too strongly, it can blur the line between neutral governance and advocacy. And even if intentions are positive, perception matters, because public trust depends on institutions being seen as fair by people across the political spectrum. Public media plays a unique role in shaping what society talks about and how. Critics argue that some perspectives are framed as more legitimate than others in certain media environments, which can narrow the range of acceptable debate. On the other hand, media organizations often respond that they are simply reflecting expert consensus, human rights standards, or editorial responsibility. This creates a tension between two important democratic values: open debate and responsible reporting. One of the most visible effects of modern cultural politics is increasing polarization. Some critics argue that identity-based frameworks can unintentionally encourage people to see society primarily through group categories. Supporters counter that acknowledging identity is necessary to address real inequalities that were previously ignored. How do you recognize differences without turning them into permanent divisions? This is the challenge for modern democracies. It's important to distinguish between legal free speech and social consequences. In most Western democracies, governments are not restricting speech in these debates. But critics argue that social and professional pressure can still shape what people feel comfortable saying. Accountability is not censorship, say supporters, and speech always comes with consequences. At the center of this debate is not just ideology, but trust. Trust in institutions, trust in media. How do we build societies where disagreement doesn't turn into division, and where progress doesn't come at the cost of pluralism? The debate isn't over, it's just beginning. Drop your thoughts below, and I'll see you in the next one.